Hello, and welcome to the second episode of Cup of Trio podcast. This is your host, Desiree, and today we're discussing a topic that's critical to many of you, graduate and professional school preparation. Also, today with us, we have a guest. You guys may know him as your academic coach, Jemon, and he will also be giving insights into his journey through graduate school.
Good afternoon.
And I'm your host, Claudia. We've got a lot to cover today, so let's dive right in.
First, we're going to talk about whether graduate school is right for you. So I know for many people, graduate school may feel like the logical step. You finish undergrad, maybe don't have a internship or job lined up, so now you're considering getting a master's degree. But how do you know that this is the best course for you?
Yeah, that's a good question to ask yourself. And it also really depends on what your major is, because not every major requires graduate school. But if you are a psychology major like myself, graduate school is pretty much essential. You can't really go into private practice with just a bachelor's degree unless you want to work the front desk. So yeah, you need to ask these types of questions and figure out what your goals are. Do you just need a master's? Do you want to go to PhD level? What are your goals? What are your aspirations?
Yes, and I think outside of what your major is as well, it does really depend on what you want to do after. Like Claudia said, is your job requiring a advanced degree, or does it give you a leg up? For example, I'm currently pursuing a graduate certificate. I've decided not to go the master's route just because of the goals I have don't necessarily need that, but I felt that a certificate gives me a leg up by helping me be able to build a portfolio, gain some more hands-on experience. So while it's not necessarily required for my field, it was something that's a little bit shorter than committing to a full master's program, but also gives the opportunity to get a little bit more experience that undergrad didn't provide.
So, Jemon, you did mention that you are currently in graduate school, and I'm just curious about what led you to this route, and if you have any advice for students that are starting to get into the grad school process, what are things that you wish that you knew at that time?
That's a good question. So, funny enough, I did not want to go to grad school initially once I finished my undergraduate degree. But my reason for going is because I felt like I could use more experience in the job field I wanted to go into, which is video game design. Which in the last 2 years I've been able to do that while working on various projects. Advice wise, try to make a decision to go to grad school early. Simply because the more time you have more access to opportunities. If something comes up, say you need more time to find people for lunch recommendation or need to retake any of the big exams, you have the time frame for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and those are all good points, and that kind of leads us to the next segment where we talk about what do you need for graduate school, what's required for the application process. Maybe there are some students that don't know what letters of recommendation are. How do you get those? But most programs typically require 3 letters of recommendation. I know some schools are bringing it down to 2, so that's really cool. But basically what you do is you find people that are essentially people that can speak on your behalf of why you would be a good fit for this program and what you can contribute to the program. How were you able to select those people for your application, Jemon?
I guess the biggest thing was kind of building those networks with professors. One professor I had for recommendation, I had for 4 classes in my undergrad.
Nice.
And she was also my club's advisor, so it was really easy to approach her for the recommendation.
Mm-hmm. Nice. And what was the time frame that you gave that professor to write that letter for you?
I'd say, honestly, about at least 6 weeks minimum from the time
6
I
weeks
needed
minimum. Mm-hmm. That's good. That's definitely not what I did. I waited to the last minute. There was a professor that I had where I had her for 3 classes. Then I would talk to her outside of class because we had really cool like a really cool connection with like, it's gonna sound really random, but like with cosplaying. She was a cosplaying professor, and I thought that was amazing. So I would always be like, "Oh, your cosplays are so cool," whatever. And when she has her PhD, and so when she would talk about students that were interested in going to graduate school, she would always tell them like, give professors at least 3 months in advance. 3 months in advance. If you come to me like the week before, I'm not gonna do it. And what did I do? I went to her the week before. But because I already knew her, I kind of had an idea of how to approach the situation. Because, like you, I kind of didn't want to just go to grad school. You know what I mean? Like, I just wanted to go off and do my own thing. But I was like, how can I ask this professor for a letter of recommendation in a way that, shows her that I did listen to what she said and that I really enjoyed her classes? And I recorded a video of myself speaking as like a wizard, and I made like a wizard hat out of paper, and I was like, hello, like, this is an ancient scroll and we're going on a quest for letters of recommendation. Can you please give me one? And she was like, this is amazing. Yes, here you go. And I was like, thank you very much. That's like an oddball kind of situation. But if you get creative with it and you know your professors, it might work.
I also like to piggyback off of that. Being a letter of recommendation writer, I've written many letters of recommendation for students. So I kind of know what I want on my end. So, of course, knowing the professor, that definitely gives you a leg up. But also use discernment. Don't ask at the beginning of the fall semester when everything's busy.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ask right before breaks. People are going out of town, visiting families. And also provide all of the information up front. Let the letter of recommendation writer know what it is you're applying for. Go ahead and provide your CV or resume. Let them know what you want them to highlight. And I would also say, let them know why you chose them to be the writer. Because for different situations, you may need a different writer. Like if you're applying to med school, they're going to want specific science, physics, those professors. If you're applying for other programs, they may be open to club leaders, things like that. So let the letter of recommendation writer know exactly why you chose them, so that they know why they're a good fit for that letter and kind of what it is that they should be speaking to on your behalf.
Totally. Yeah, and then also if you're going into a field that requires research, I would recommend finding someone who has similar research interests as you, because then that helps to just build a stronger connection because you already have that one thing in common, right? And that's another reason for why they would want to help you, because it's like, oh, okay, you want to study the same thing that I've been pursuing for the last X amount of years.
Going back to application materials, one big application material that students may encounter are entrance exams. So what exactly are entrance exams and when do you need them?
Well, yeah, there are different entrance exams depending on what you want to pursue. Like for me, I took the GRE. GRE isn't necessarily required if you're trying to go into something like med school. You may have to take the MCAT, or if you're trying to get into law school, you got to take, what is it, like the bar?
The LSAT.
LSAT.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm thinking of Legally Blonde.
Well, you do have to take the bar eventually, but that's after law school.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. So,
A lot of tests.
yeah, there's all those. And if you're trying to go into actuarial science, you have to take things like Exam P, and it's crazy. So it really depends on what you want to do. But luckily, PrimeStem has the resources for you if you're trying to take any of these exams, more specifically the GRE, because we have quite a few GRE vouchers to give out to students.
Yeah, so the GRE is the main one. It's kind of like the general application for master's programs, I would say. Many do require them, but I know in new times, a lot of schools are doing away with GREs, and that's why it's really important to research the programs and the schools that you're planning to apply to very early on, because you want to make sure you give yourself enough time to study for, prepare for, take the exam, maybe fail and retake the exam, and all of the things that you will need. Also, the GRE has some subject tests as well. So as Claudia mentioned, with psychology, there's a separate subject test for psychology. There's a separate one for mathematics. So as Claudia mentioned, in PrimeStem, we do have resources to help prepare. We have preparation books, flashcards. We also have vouchers. So we have various vouchers for prep courses. We also have vouchers for the fee for the exam. Hence, most entrance exams do cost money. So that's another thing to prepare for. And we also have fee reduction for those subject tests as well. And also mentioned if you're going into professional programs, so as we are a STEM program, a lot of students listening may be looking to go to med school, PA school, where else?
Man, the possibilities are endless.
But they all have their own entrance exams. So you have MCAT, you have the PCAT, you have the DAT if you're going to dentistry school. We do have resources for those as well. We have study materials, flashcards, so feel free to stop by the Prime STEM office if you need any of these materials.
Because that GRE is expensive. Well, it's a pretty penny. I paid a little over $200 to take this exam, only to find out that it was no longer required. So that's why you want to be sure. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's why you want to be sure whether or not you need it, because sometimes you do, or maybe the next semester they just decide, hey, we're no longer going to require this. That's exactly what happened to me. So you might want to wait it out a semester. But yeah, if you do still need a GRE for your program, definitely take a stop by our office and see if we can give you a voucher. So another thing that's required for graduate school is a personal statement. Can you tell us a little bit about your personal statement process, Jemon?
I don't think I had to pursue a personal statement. I don't remember writing one.
Man, that must have been nice. Okay. Well, yeah, it like we've said multiple times this episode, it really depends on your program what your requirements are. So for the program that I applied to was clinical mental health counseling, just a master's degree. A personal statement was required. But basically what it is, the way that the program that I applied to broke it down, it was pretty simple. They just ask you a couple questions and you just respond. And it's no more than 2 pages. I think mine was like a page and a half. And that was enough for me to secure an interview. So like, you don't have to go above and beyond. Like, you don't want to give your whole, life story, but you just want to answer those questions. So for example, one of the questions for my program was, what can you contribute to the field? Or like, why this program? Or like, what skills have you gained thus far that will be useful in this program? So they're just simple questions like that. So my advice to people that are trying to complete their personal statement is answer each question on its own to the best of your ability. Maybe do like a paragraph response for each, and then try to find a way to seamlessly transition each of your answers.
And also, I would say with personal statement writing, if your program is requiring one, this is a time for you to really let your personality shine through. The rest of your application materials, a lot of it is numbers based. They're looking at your transcripts, GPAs, your entrance exam test scores. So this is the only opportunity where you can really give life to your application. So don't just reiterate what's on your resume or cover letter that's already being submitted with the application. This is a time for them to get to know you. Also, if you have some areas in your application where you feel like are less desirable, this may be a time to kind of explain why that is the way it is, and give the reader more insight into who you are as a person and a student and what you can really bring to the program that you're applying for.
Yeah, totally. 100%. Your personal statement should be qualitative and not quantitative, because we have your transcripts for that. We have all your numbers on your transcripts. We want to learn about you. What personal anecdotes do you have? And what sets you apart from the rest of the applicants?
Next topic, we're going to get into everyone's favorite topic, money. So how do you how do you pay for grad school? What are the funding options? How are we going to get this degree paid for and not owe all of this debt and money back. So,
Mm.
any insights?
I got nothing.
Well, so unfortunately, as a current grad student, I mainly use federal loans for paying through school. You do have that option as a grad student, um, a lot more than as an undergrad student. Though you really want to try to find some of the other better methods for funding. One which is assistantships, which I think are the best option. So the way those work is while you're a full time grad student, you can also be a graduate teaching assistant or a graduate assistant, and you basically work about 20 hours a week, either helping with grading for a class or sometimes teaching whole classes. And by doing that, you get your tuition covered and a stipend on top of that, which could really help with funding your degree.
I see. And I'm assuming that if you are a GTA, you must have taken that course prior.
No, so because you're helping with undergraduate courses as a graduate student, so there's not necessarily a requirement that you took that class specifically.
Okay, cool.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah, same. I assume that it was the same as like an undergrad TA, where like you have to take the class before. So that's actually really good to know. Nice.
I do know that a lot of programs at UCF, some programs at UCF actually require that you GTA. Like I know the biotechnology program here does, maybe some other in the STEM fields. So if that's not an option where it's already set up, I definitely recommend looking into GTA positions if you're planning to go to grad school, maybe talking to the financial aid counselors to see how that process works. I believe they also have GRAs, which are graduate research assistants, which I assume are very similar, except for instead of assisting with a class, you're assisting with research.
Yep.
So those are really great opportunities to look into. Also, fellowships are another option. I would say especially if you either have conducted or are interested in doing research. Fellowships are out there. There's the National Science Foundation Graduate Research Fellowship Program. There's a lot of out-of-state fellowship programs. They do typically have some type of commitment. You may have to do some type of internship or working for the company, but those are options as well. Typically, they pay for full tuition. Sometimes they have room and board included. So that is another funding option if you are going the graduate school route.
Mm-hmm. And something else that's important to mention is being aware of your deadlines. Totally forgot to mention that.
Deadlines are a big thing.
Yeah, for sure. And you can easily find deadlines if you just look at the program page. Like, I can't tell you how many times I went on the Reddit and they're like, "When is this due? When should I submit this by?" It's like if you look up the program and click on the page and scroll down, it'll give you a full timeline of when everything is due. Exactly.
The more you know.
Yep.
Yes. So do your research, have it planned out so that way you're not scrambling like I was to get everything submitted on time. It'll be easier on you, it'll be easier on your professors, your references, everything. And also your personal statement, circling back to that really quick. It's good to have other people read it so you can get different opinions on how you can tweak certain things, or if you're not giving yourself enough credit and you have someone to be like, actually, you did this, and this, and you should probably mention that as well. You know, it's good to have like a second set of eyes so you can go back, revise it as many times as you need so it sounds chef's kiss.
Oh yeah. One thing I want to add with the funding and dates. So especially with assistantships, they are limited. So with a lot of grad application process, there's priority dates. Like I know for UCFJ where it's like a big month for priority dates. So if we want the highest chance of getting those assistantships or other funding methods, you want to try to aim to get most if not all, your requirements for the application process done by that point.
AKA apply early.
Yeah, apply early, and also ask questions to the people that are in the program. If you're able to attend like a virtual session, I know a lot of grad programs offer those kind of virtual sessions where you just go on like a Teams call. It's a bunch of people. There's the students that you can talk to. There are faculty that you can talk to. You know, get your name out there. Get to know the people that are in the program. Ask them questions. Be like, how's your experience been in the program, or what gravitated you towards this program, or what sets this program apart from other programs.
Hope you enjoyed this episode on graduate school preparation. And speaking of grad school, if you're looking for more resources, UCS Academic Advancement Programs is hosting Graduate and Professional School Month all the way from October 1st to October 31st. They will be having programming specific to graduate school preparation. So you can attend workshops, panels. There's also a fair to learn about different graduate programs, and a Saturday session, which is a graduate school prep intensive to help you from A to Z throughout the graduate school preparation and application process. So be sure to look out for those dates all throughout October.
Woohoo, happy Halloween.
Well, that's it, guys. Thank you for tuning in for this second installment of Couple Trio, and that's the tea.
That's the tea.